The ancient Romans believed their city was founded in 753 BCE by twin brothers named Romulus and Remus. The story of these twins included a plot twist where they were ordered to be drowned in the Tiber River, only to be miraculously saved by a female wolf. Sounds crazy, almost unbelievable. How do we know this event really happened? The truth is, we don't. There is some evidence that Romulus and maybe even Remus existed, but none that can prove the whole story true. This is the case with a lot of ancient history. Historians must use clues left behind that we call primary sources to piece together as much of the story as we possibly can. Why bother researching a tale in history that may not even be true? As we gather the facts that are available, we also learn about the culture and character of the ancient Romans, who believed that these stories were actually true. Could future societies learn about our culture from analyzing popular stories that we tell, like Superman or Star Wars? The myths and primary sources we will analyze in this unit will include the story of Aeneas, considered the father of Rome, who traveled from Troy to Italy in search of a new home; Romulus and Remus, descendants of Aeneas, who set out to create a new city that would become the city of Rome; and the 7 kings that ruled Rome from 753 BCE to 509 BCE, prior to the formation of the Roman Republic. The earliest sources that talk of this period were not written until nearly 500 years after they occurred, so we cannot assume they are completely accurate. There is some archaeological evidence we can use, however, this is also limited because the city of Rome was nearly destroyed by the Gauls in the 300s BCE. But dedicated scholars never give up on trying to piece this mystery of history together. When was the ancient city of Rome founded? Modern scholars may never know the exact answer to this question, but the ancient Romans believed they knew the answer. They believed their city was founded in 753 BCE by twin brothers Romulus and Remus. They believed that Romulus and Remus were descendants of another of their mythical founders, named Aeneas. Roman historians also thought that Romulus survived his brother Remus to become one of 7 kings to rule Rome until the city became a republic in 509 BCE. The problem with these accounts is that there is no surviving written history from these time periods, and much of the archaeological evidence was destroyed when the Gauls sacked the city of Rome in the 300s BCE. Although we may never know if any or all these accounts are fact, we learn a lot about the Roman character from studying them. Ancient authors did write about these stories as late as the 2nd century BCE. Authors highlighted by this unit include Livy, who wrote the History of Rome, which covers the earliest Roman history all the way through the reign of Augustus; Plutarch, a Greek historian who wrote Parallel Lives. This was about the lives and character of famous Greeks and Romans. Finally, Virgil, who wrote many poems, including the Aeneid. We learn Roman history from other primary source authors such as Polybius, another Greek writer who records early Republican history; Cicero, who wrote about how the Republic worked; Julius Caesar, a Roman general and eventual dictator of Rome who wrote about his own war campaigns; and Josephus, who recorded the Jewish history under Roman rule. The earliest Roman origin myth is about Aeneas. Several sources refer to Aeneas coming to Italy, but none provide more details than the poem written by Virgil called the Aeneid. This poem continues the story of Iliad and Odyssey written by the Greek poet named Homer. Aeneas and a crew of Trojans escaped the city of Troy just prior to its destruction by the hands of the Greeks. They journeyed throughout the Mediterranean looking for a new home. The Trojans made stops in Sicily and Carthage until they finally arrived in the Tiber River Valley. Within this story, Aeneas has Dido, the queen of Carthage, fall in love with him with a little help from Cupid. Dido commits suicide when she learns Aeneas has abandoned her, establishing a long rivalry between Carthage and Rome. Once in the Tiber River Valley, the Trojans make an alliance with a Latin king, win a war, and Aeneas marries the king's daughter and makes his new home near the Tiber River. Perhaps the most famous origin myth is the story of Romulus and Remus. It begins with a king named Numitor, who is said to be a descendant of Aeneas and his Latin princess. Numitor is removed from the throne of Alba Longa by his brother Aemilius. Aemilius also forces Numitor's daughter to become a Vestal Virgin to prevent her from having any children. She still becomes pregnant anyway and claims that the god Mars was the father. She gives birth to 2 twin sons, Romulus and Remus. Aemilius orders that they be drowned in the Tiber River, but they are miraculously saved by a she-wolf and eventually raised by a shepherd. As grown men, they learn their true identity and kill Aemilius and restore Numitor to the throne of Alba Longa. They decide to create their own kingdom, but argue over which hill to build their city on, leading Romulus to kill Remus. This was the actual start of the city according to Livy and other primary sources. The ancient histories record 7 kings who would rule Rome. Starting with Romulus, each king was credited with creating some aspect of the Roman culture. Romulus was known for his questionable decision of expanding the Roman population by kidnapping the daughters of their Sabine neighbors to provide Roman wives. These women would eventually forge an alliance between their Sabine fathers and Roman husbands. Romulus also created a group of advisors that would become known as the Roman Senate. Numa Pompilius was a Sabine king who followed Romulus, who established the religious traditions of Rome. Lucius Tarquinius Priscus was an Etruscan who expanded the Senate and built the Circus Maximus. Servius Tullus was remembered for organizing the Roman army and creating tribes and assemblies that would become an important component to the future republic. Finally, there was Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, who was remembered as a cruel and murderous ruler who was overthrown and would be the last king to rule over Rome in favor of a republic in 509 BCE.